All right, so one of the few things that we've come to expect after a UFC event are changes to fighter ratings. And of course, right now, the fighter that is in charge of doing that is Daniel Cormier. He goes in, he adjusts some fighter ratings. Some fighters get they get a bump, and some of the fighters will get a nerf. So depending on how the fighter performs on the night, if they do good, what specific areas the fighters actually performed well in, they're going to get a bump in that area. And if there's some areas that the fighter showed some deficiencies, he goes in and the fighter gets nerfed in that area. Now, they just uploaded a short clip on the official EA Sports UFC Instagram page where DC talks about what we could possibly expect in terms of fighter ratings, specifically for Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. And this has me really curious because these are two very important fighters in the game, and I'm really also curious to see what you guys think should change when it comes to their fighter ratings. So let's go right ahead and watch the video, and then we'll talk about it. So here we go.
What's up, everybody? It's DC. UFC 264 was a monster of a card. There are a lot of things that will change in the update that we have coming later in the week. I can see Dustin Poirier getting bumps on the takedown offense, top control, the grappling for sure. How does Conor McGregor's character look after last weekend? Does the damage go down? How about his striking and stand-up takedown defense? Even Wonderboy Thompson's takedown defense. Gilbert Burns showed the ability to take down Wonderboy. Nobody takes down Wonderboy. But these are just my initial thoughts. I want to know, what are you guys thinking should happen in the next rating update? And then I'll have an official update. In the comments, tell me what you think should happen. And let's see how closely the two relate.
So according to DC, as we just saw right there, we could see some changes to Dustin Poirier's wrestling offense. We could see some changes to Dustin Poirier's top control, his grappling as well. And he also mentioned Conor McGregor striking a little bit. And I believe I think he talked about submissions. But for the most part, when I think about that, man, I don't know if I agree with buffing Dustin Poirier's takedown offense, only because if you guys remember in that fight, if you go back and watch the fight, Dustin actually did not take Conor McGregor down. I mean, he hurt him, and Conor was backing up. Conor was actually the one that engaged in the clinch. Dustin Poirier was able to reverse him, pushed him against the cage, and as Dustin was trying to work for the takedown, Conor was able to get him in the guillotine, and Conor was actually the one that took the fight to the ground, trying to finish that guillotine. So it wasn't Dustin actually taking Conor down to the ground. Conor ended up on his back because he jumped guillotine trying to finish that fight. So I don't know if I agree with buffing Dustin Poirier's takedown offense, because I do believe that it got buffed after the first fight, as it should, because he actually secured a takedown on Conor McGregor. What I do think should be buffed is, because if you guys, I'm going to go ahead and switch the screen right here so that you guys can see exactly what I'm looking at. What I think should be buffed is right here. If you look at Dustin Poirier's his punch speed at a 96, I think that is okay. But I do think, let's see. So yeah, punch speed at a 96, I think that's okay. But if you take a look at his punch power, right now his punch power is a 95. I think based on what he has demonstrated so far, fighting Conor McGregor twice now, and actually being able to hurt him twice, because he did hurt him again in the third fight with a beautiful cross, and he landed a beautiful flurry. I believe it was a jab uppercut, which actually forced Conor to want to clinch in. If you look at that performance, I think at lightweight, Dustin has proved that his power definitely matches Conor McGregor's. Conor has not been able to put him away, I'd say, like he was able to at featherweight. So I think if we go power for power, both of them, I think you'll find that their power is very, very similar right now. I think they're about even in terms of power. I mean, we've seen Dustin Poirier deliver some powerful shots in that octagon, including against Conor McGregor. So I still think Conor is faster, but I do think Dustin Poirier matches him in power right now. Because if you guys take a look at Conor's, you see punch speed 96. Wait, hold on. Conor's power at lightweight is 96. So, now there you go. Yeah, I was getting confused. So yeah, I think Dustin Poirier's punch power should be buffed to 96 to match Conor McGregor's. I think the accuracy is okay. I think I would also buff Dustin Poirier's switch stance just a little bit. Now, he doesn't actually fight from the orthodox position when he switches, but he does a very good job of switching and then firing off shots. He does it very, very well, which is a little bit surprising to me. Overall, it's surprising to me that Dustin is actually a southpaw, because if you've seen him sign posters, he actually signs with his right hand. So he's right-handed but fights southpaw. So I would definitely up his stance switch a little bit. Let me see. What else would I buff? Definitely his top control, for sure. I completely agree with buffing his top control. He demonstrated some really, really good top control in that fight. Ground striking, I would also buff that a little bit. I would not reduce Conor McGregor's ground striking defense, because I think he did a very good job. He really did a good job in that fight when it comes to defending ground and pound. You can take a look at the way Conor looked afterwards. He really did not take a lot of shots. He was doing a very good job actually fighting back from the bottom with those beautiful elbows, throwing up kicks. He kept himself relatively safe on the bottom right there. Like, he really, really did. So I would buff Dustin Poirier's ground striking. I wouldn't reduce Conor's, because that would diminish what Dustin did. Dustin was able to employ a really ground heavy attack against a guy that was doing a good job at defending him. So I would also buff Dustin Poirier's clinch control. I really would, because the moment they crashed in and Dustin got a hold of Conor, he was able to turn him around immediately and muscle him back to the cage, and then from there he started working the takedown. So, and I would not reduce Conor McGregor's clinch control either, because Conor is very, very good in the clinch, exceptionally good in the clinch, as he has demonstrated in his fight against Cowboy Cerrone. Even in his fights against Dustin Poirier, he's shown that he's very good there as well. So I would buff Dustin Poirier's clinch control. I'd keep his clinch striking where it's at, buff his top control. And for Conor, let me see. And then, of course, like I said, I would buff Dustin Poirier's punch power to a 96. Now, for Conor McGregor, what would I do? I would keep his punch speed exactly as is. I'd keep the punch power where it's at. His accuracy, I would reduce a little bit. I think his accuracy is a little bit overrated right now in the lightweight division. Especially when you look at these fights against Dustin Poirier. Now, I still think he looked extremely sharp, but when he's facing someone that is moving very well, someone that's not a stationary target that just lets him hit them whenever he wants, he does whiff a little bit more than he used to right now. So I would reduce his accuracy just a little bit. I would say his let's see, what was I was looking for. So like I said, I would leave his takedown defense where it's at. I would leave his bottom control where it's at. I would not reduce his ground. I would not increase or reduce his ground striking. I would leave the clinch striking and clinch control where it's at. But the one thing that I think they should reduce a little bit is Conor McGregor's chin. I think in this weight class, that one's a little bit controversial, and we could all probably talk about that, but I don't think his chin is as good as it was in the featherweight division. But it could also be because he's fighting Dustin freaking Poirier, and Dustin Poirier hits really, really hard. So, like I said, definitely arguable when it comes to that one. And then maybe his leg health. Maybe do something about the leg health. Maybe reduce it a little bit. I don't know. I mean, he did completely shatter his leg in the fight, so maybe that's something to think about. But overall, man, we're definitely going to see what they decide to do. In a few days, we're going to see what the rating changes will be. And hopefully they make all the right changes. Like I said, I don't want them to start buffing things that they should not be buffing, like trying to buff Dustin Poirier's takedown offense. I don't think it's necessary because he did not get a takedown in that fight. And I also don't want them to diminish what Dustin Poirier did by reducing Conor McGregor's bottom control, because Conor was doing a very good job. The only reason why he was stuck on the bottom was because Dustin Poirier was doing an even better job. So buff Dustin, leave Conor McGregor alone when it comes to bottom control. That's what I'm hoping that they do. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. What do you think should be buffed in regards to these two fighters specifically? And we'll see what happens. So thank you for watching, folks. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.